So for those who don't know, in California, you get a guide that tells you what's happening with the bill and the way that it works. Because California wants you to be informed voters. So they tell you what your rights are, how you can vote, when you can vote, so what your rights are. They give you a little table of contents. They tell you where you can go to get more information. The Secretary of State leaves a message about what this guide does. It's neutral. It gives you arguments for and against, and including contact information of whoever is an opponent or proponent of the proposition you're viewing on. You'll get clear instructions how to vote and more information. So in this election that we have coming up, we have one thing on the ballot total. It's Prop 50, which authorizes temporary changes to congressional district maps in response to Texas's partisan redistricting legislative constitutional amendment. So in Texas, the legislator didn't ask the people. They just went into a special session and just did it. In California, we're asking our voters whether we want to respond to their illegal power grab by making, a power grab of our own. We're only doing it, though, to balance the changes that Texas made. So a yes vote would mean we would make that change. A no vote means we would not. Also, you get the pro arguments and the against arguments, and then who to contact about those arguments. Tells you when election day is, how to find your voting center. Because in California, we have many voting centers. We don't just restrict it to one county like they do in Texas. Some places give you up to 10 days. So if you see here all the different counties, I'm not in one of those counties that gives us extra days. But everybody will receive a ballot in the mail. You don't have to have a special thing to get a ballot in the mail. They don't fight you on it. They just say, you want to vote? Vote by mail. And then it tells you how to vote. So if you go further into it, here it is. This is the proposition. What it'll do, they give you the history of why they're doing it and how it works. They give you an analysis of what it'll do. It tells you that the counties run the elections and the state oversees them. But this is a little cost to do what we're trying to do. And then it shows you how we're going to make those changes. This is the current congressional districts. I live in this one. This is the proposed congressional districts. Notice how 22 went from this to, let's go up there, this. They added some here to add some more Democrats to this area. And then this shows the analysis of what it'll look like. And so again, the current and the new. And then for Southern California, the same, the current and the new. So you get an idea of how your districts are going to change. Are you going to switch districts? Are you going to be in, is your district getting bigger? And then here's the arguments in favor. And there's a rebuttal to the argument. So they get a chance. They will give this to the opposition, and the opposition gets a chance to make counter arguments. Then the people who are against it will make their arguments, and again, counters to those arguments. That way your voters are informed. Then over here, talks about more proposed amendments, what it would look like and what it will do to the Constitution. And then for those military voters who will also get this, they will get what they can do to vote. And then it tells you, hey, you cannot do electioneering. You cannot go to the ballot place and do these things because these are crimes. So you can't influence people while they're at the voting place. And then you can't corrupt the process. So you can't they tell you what these things are. If you do these things, then you will possibly be sanctioned, like going to jail. And then they tell you, look for trusted sources. And then if you get sources that aren't good, you can report them. And then the state will take actions against people who are bad actors. And then how you can register. Do you need to show ID? No, because you've already you're registered. You have to show it there. You might be asked for ID in some places if you're voting for the first time or you registered by mail. But after that, you won't need it. And these are the forms that are that you can use. You can even use your utility bill to show where you live, a paycheck, some official mail from a government agency, your student ID, which Texas doesn't allow. You can then maybe cast a provisional ballot if you don't have your ID when you went to vote and they needed it. And then you can check your status online. And then if you had a prior felony, that's okay, because you can still register to vote as long as you're not in jail at the time, or you're not on parole or probation. So once you've been released, I think they call it, if you're off paper, then you can go and still vote. And if you were in trouble, you still have time to register for this election, as long as you're, free of that. So you can also, they tell you how you can serve as a poll worker and who to call. And then they tell you step by step how to register, how to get information, and how to vote. Again, constantly through this, they're just showing you how you can do this. They have this motor voter thing. You can pause to read. They have this voter registration thing. They have assistance if you're disabled, how to vote at home, how to get audio or large print. So if your vision's poor, you can call. You can get these in many languages: English, Chinese, Hindi, Japanese, Khmer, Korean, Spanish, Tagalog, Thai, and Vietnamese for free. And the reason we do this is because not everybody speaks English fluently. And, they're American citizens, and they need to be able to vote. So this is what happens. That's how we do that. And then where your county office is. So if you don't know where to go, you can go look up on the book that you got or that your neighbor got, and they'll tell you where to go to get more information. For example, here I am in Kern. That's who you call, and that's how you get to vote. You can check your voter status online. There's provisional voting again, and exactly how your provisional vote will be counted if that's the case. And let's get to the last page here. How to fix a missing or bad signature. You have to sign your mail-in ballot, and then if they don't feel that it matches, they will send you an attempt to what's called curing it. So they walk you through what that looks like, what to expect, and then again, where to get that information. So here are the days to remember. October 6th, they'll be mailing those ballots to us. So we'll be getting these ballots in like 3 days. We'll be able to vote starting then, and we can return it by mail, or we can go to the drop boxes. And then the last day to register is October 20th. Now some places you can do same day voter registration if your county supports that. And then the first date voting centers open is the 25th. And the last day to vote in person or return a ballot is Tuesday, November 4th. And then again, if it has any questions, any way to get more information, who to call, or even scan on your phone. So that's how California makes sure that everybody is educated on what to vote. For other elections, there's candidate information and what they want to do, their campaign promises. Not everybody participates, but most for statewide elections do. So now you know, and if you have any questions, you can reach out to me.